Imagine, and we've covered this in different ways, but imagine that somebody with an advanced cancer is listening to us or watching us. What are and they are facing, either they've entered hospice or facing end of life. What are the three key things that you would want them to know?
Loving themselves unconditionally is essential.
Mm-hmm. I just find myself taking a deep breath when you say that, because in my own struggles, with full catastrophe living, and you say that, and there's just this inhalation and exhalation of, yes. So what are the other two?
Learning how to surrender and let go. Surrender could mean surrendering to your expectations. Surrender could mean surrendering to a dream. Surrender could mean letting go to something that has upset you in your professional or personal life. Just surrendering and letting go. And that surrender also means trusting the process. And then I'd say probably living life, not waiting to die. What matters most to you? Focus on that and live life. Because we all know what the end's going to be. We don't know where we're going or what it's going to look like. But don't worry about it. Don't worry about trying to control that. Don't worry about that part. Live. And for me, that means being present. That means, it's interesting. Like the other day, my mom and my friend Carla were here, and I got 4 different packages. And they're like, well, aren't you going to open the packages? And I said, no, not yet, because I need to be present. I need to have no distractions. These are thoughtful gifts that people put together for me. And even though they're not physically here, I open up a space on the table. I get out a notebook and I carefully unwrap. I study it. I let myself feel what I feel. I read the note. I jot a little note that I want to say something to them about it. If I were not present, we just go through the motions. And so living, I guess, being present, because otherwise life is just, I find so many of us just going through the motions instead of living it, because I can guarantee whatever you're going through, it's going to end. That moment of joy, it's going to end. That utter debilitating pain is going to end. It will end. So live in that moment and let it go. But if you can learn how to have joy, and if you can learn how to have fun, if you can learn how to be present, it's a whole other experience.
Let's go quiet for a minute again. Loving ourselves unconditionally, surrendering, and living life, being present, knowing that whatever is happening, that moment of joy, that pain, it will end. Loving ourselves unconditionally, surrendering to the process, and not waiting to die, but living. Loving, surrendering, living. Loving, surrendering, living. It reminds me of my favorite sutra in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, which is the book that is the classic of the Hindu yoga tradition. I was just looking at it last night, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. The one I use is translated by Swami Satchidananda, who was a great teacher for me. And this sutra goes like this: the acceptance of our suffering as an aid to spiritual evolution, the study of great wisdom traditions, and complete surrender to the divine force within each of us. These three things are yoga in practice. I'll say that again. The acceptance of our suffering as an aid to spiritual evolution, the study of great wisdom teachings, and complete surrender to the divine force within each of us. These three things are yoga in practice. It's the branch of yoga that's called Kriya Yoga. And that's understood in different ways by different teachers. But this is the second book of the Yoga Sutras. And that teaching has been with me for 40 years. Whatever is happening to me, I try, and it's not always easy. It hasn't been easy recently, but I try to accept it as an aid to my evolution. You can leave out the word spiritual. It doesn't matter. It gets in the way. But all of us are evolving one way or another, whether we're secular or spiritual or religious or whatever. So accepting our suffering as opposed to trying to fend it off. And then seeking the great teachings, whether we call them spiritual, it doesn't matter, but what are the great teachings for us? And then recognizing that there is this spark within each of us, whether you call it divine, it doesn't matter. You know, in the Quaker tradition, like, there is that of God in every human being. So somehow what you said resonated for me. Yeah.